L and L. L, how are you?
I am well, Elle. I'm very, very well. How are you going?
Good, L. I'm good, L.
Mm-hmm. It's so odd where our intro has slightly shifted.
I know. We don't kid around anymore. We just get straight in it.
Straight into the goodies.
Yes, no dabbling anymore.
Oh, we ran out of things.
I ran out of a lot of dabbling topics, but hey, I lasted like 60 episodes.
I'm very impressed.
I felt like,
Who knows? It may have a comeback.
It may have a comeback. I feel like I'll still slip in the word dabbling here and there. For those who don't know, for those who are new, with every intro that we had, I used to talk about how I dabbled into other genres and not just rock and roll. And I'd come up with some sort of musical,
pun.
like, hey, I'm dabbling on the ceiling,
Yeah.
basically like that.
Yeah.
But that is no more.
No more. It was too... It was fun while it lasted.
It was fun, but I think a lot of people were like,
Yeah, like, what?
All right.
Yeah. What's been up this week?
Oh, not much. It's been a slow week, which is always nice.
Yeah.
I like that sometimes.
It's Easter weekend.
It's Easter.
Except not our Easter because we're Greek. It's next weekend. But
Yeah.
it's been I've been enjoying the chocolate.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's been such a chill weekend, I've just kind of been sitting around. And you know when you kind of like... I don't know, I was pondering my life.
Right.
And I was like looking like... Me and my friends were just talking about like memories we can remember from when we were younger. And I realized like my memory goes back to being really young sometimes.
Really? Like how young?
Like I feel like I have memories from when I was easily 2 years old because my sister is almost 3 years, like we're a month different from being 3 years apart.
Right.
And I have memories from before she was born or when my mum was pregnant.
Wow.
So just but not like it's not like I can remember exacts. Well, some scenarios I remember exacts, but I remember where I was sitting. I remember like
glimpses?
Yeah, glimpses, little like tiny glimpses. Like I remember the earliest memory I have is of me on like a pool table just sitting there and watching people.
Huh.
Yeah, that's the earliest memory I have. Is it from this lifetime? I don't know.
Oh, well, who freaking knows?
Yeah.
But is too early to remember things? Like,
I don't think so.
Like, I'm just curious because my son he'll be 3 in July.
Yeah.
So, does he remember his life already?
Is he going to remember that I sat on his drawing table and broke it?
I think
Oh
he
my
will.
God.
He was deeply damaged.
No, it's fixed now.
I'll
was
give you
both
credit.
of us.
We both sat on his table. He has this little table with a couple little chairs. We both sat on it. We broke it.
Yeah, snapped right.
It snapped right in the kisser.
Yeah.
And basically, for a few weeks before my husband fixed it, he was like, table.
What happened?
What happened? Table. He missed his table. And then it appeared again one day because George fixed it. And he's like, table!
He's going to always look at me as like that lady that breaks things. I order. What's your earliest memory that you can think of?
I actually have a few. Funny thing is, and I feel like this defines my personality, but one of my earliest memories is actually Star Wars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so when I used to sleep at my grandparents' house, I remember that we used to have these videotapes, VHS, of the trilogy, the old trilogy. I remember when Luke took off Darth Vader's helmet.
Oh.
And I probably would have been like 3 years old.
Yeah.
I remember watching that moment and being like, whoa. Like, I understood what was happening.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, that is one of my first memories, and I guess that's why I'm a Star Wars nut now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's real cool.
Yeah, real cool.
I don't know if I can remember watching a movie, like the earliest movie. Like, I don't remember what the earliest movie I remember watching is. I do remember, and this is going to sound odd, and I don't think surely I would have been 5 at this point, but I really have a very vivid memory of watching The Green Mile for the first time. And I feel like I was quite young.
That is the most depressing movie on the earth.
And it was like my favorite movie at the time
for
as
real?
well. I was like,
are you okay?
I felt so like connected to the giant guy that like, I don't know, I just got
Were you scared of the dark?
I was always scared of the dark. I've always been afraid of the dark. But like, I felt like because he felt other people's emotions and even me as a small child, I was like, I can feel him. Like, I felt like I could feel the empathy. I think, yeah, I really remember how I felt watching that movie.
Right.
And I remember being very young, like really young.
Huh.
Watching that,
It's
and
not
I
really a
continuously
movie you should
kept
be
watching.
watching.
Yeah, I really kept watching it a lot. But other than that, what other memories you got?
Okay, so I got one, and it's kind of really funny thinking back. So you know how back in the day,
Yeah.
instead of taking our phones to the toilet, we used to read magazines.
Ah, yes.
So my mum, like in her ensuite, had like a stack of, like a little shelf of magazines, basically.
Yeah.
Next to her toilet. And I remember it was the days of me being toilet trained. So I was pretty young.
That's
around
really
3.
early. Yeah.
And I remember missing the toilet by accident. And then, so my pee went all over the floor. And then I was so scared that I was going to get in trouble that I used a magazine to try and sweep my pee under the shower mat.
It's crazy that even at that age,
I
you like could
know!
think of like, this is the solution.
This is the solution. I was trying to sweep it with the
Yeah.
magazine under the shower mat.
Oh.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Did your mom find it?
Oh, yeah. She called me mid-action.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't
She's
remember.
like,
That's where the
"Elle?"
memory just cuts off.
Oh, yeah. It's like,
I
punishment.
think I blanked it out. Like, I've purposely forgotten what happened to me.
Like, what happened after? Surely it would have been fine. Although it wasn't in the days of gentle parenting.
No, no, it was not.
Whatsoever.
Nearly 30 years ago.
I remembered something.
Oh,
I
yes.
remember this crazy, I think it wasn't the first time, but it was like the most intense
Right.
time. Back when I was a child, I had very big constipation issues.
Oh, yes.
Constipation, but also gastro at the same time. It's a weird thing.
Why do our conversations always end up in the toilet?
Really, always toilet conversations.
yes.
But
Go on, Elle.
it is. But I remember I constantly kept getting gastro. Like, at least from my
Ugh.
perspective, it felt like I was always getting gastro
Right.
at a certain age.
But just the runs.
And I remember walking into, it was like the hallway. We had to go to like a christening or like a wedding or something that day. Like, I remember we had like a formal event that day. We had just gotten ready. I think mum was like getting ready to like get it, like for all of us to like move to the car. And dad was like, my dad used to play music every time before we would go out. So he was like in his party mood. And then I was like, wait a second, I don't feel well. And I went to run to go to the bathroom. And I vomited everywhere. Like, I've never vomited like that in my life. I remember carrots. It was disgusting. Why am I talking about this in podcast? No one wants to hear this. But that memory just flooded back to me. And I remember just being like, I feel like I was punished. Not punished. Like, I feel like it wasn't a situation where like anyone handled that situation well, because we're all like, we have to leave. But like, also like, what the hell? Like, oh. I just remember the actual being in my own body and like,
Wow.
yeah.
We remember the most intense moments in our lives.
Oh, very much so.
I also remember, again, another one involving the toilet. Mm-hmm. I remember, again, while I was being toilet trained, I got up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet. And it was at the point where my mum was still wiping me.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the night, I went to pee and I sat on the toilet and I was like, Mom! From the toilet. Mom! Well, she was dead asleep, so she didn't hear me. So I went to sleep on the toilet and I waited for my mum to find me in the morning.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I was not expecting that to happen. Wait, pardon? You just fell asleep on the toilet like...
So I was just waiting. I'm like, well, she'll come and find me eventually. Because I just didn't think in my 3-year-old brain, hey, grab some toilet paper and just
do it yourself.
softly dab yourself, Elle. I did not think that. I thought the best solution was to just wait there.
Yeah, until she came.
And while I waited, I fell asleep.
So she found you in the morning?
She found me in the morning.
Wow.
Shall we move on to formalities?
Please.
What we like to do on the podcast is to tell you what was number 1 in music history this week.
Oh, what was?
And I've got some doozies for you.
Ooh, what are they?
This one's really fitting, and you'll see why for this episode. In 1982, I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts was number 1.
Oh, I love rock and roll. Put another dime in the jukebox, baby.
I was about to say juice box. That's not right.
Juice box, babe. I'm just imagining you as a kid with a leather jacket and drinking your juice box.
What a song. And how fitting for this episode, right?
Like, Suzi Quatro led the path.
She led the path for people like Joan Jett to be Joan Jett.
Exactly. And Joan Jett in general, freaking amazing.
So good.
I think about that song Bad Reputation all the time because
Yes.
it's in so many classic good movies. I love
Yes,
the way
Shrek.
10 Things I Hate About You. It's just like
Yeah.
so perfectly placed, and it really sets the tone and sets the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, something about people like Suzi Quatro, people like Joan Jett, people like Cyndi Lauper, Blondie, like the women that are in like rock music or like music at that time, they just like, they make everything feel like it's okay to be a rebel.
They make it feel okay to be a young girl really into rock.
Yeah, and to be like into things that like are not like your typical the things that we were taught that females have to like and have to dress like, and you shouldn't, like, I remember growing up, people were like, you shouldn't wear black all the time. Why are you wearing black all the time? And I'm like, why can't I? If I like that color, what's wrong with me wearing black?
That was me. I was always getting told off for wearing black.
Yeah. And, like, as a kid, I'm like, well, my mum likes dressing me in black because my mum likes wearing black.
Yeah.
We're edgy like that. Leave us alone.
We're edgy.
Edgy like that.
Any of the long-time followers of the podcast would know that I based, for a period of time when I was about 14, I based my whole look off of Joan Jett.
You really did.
So I had her haircut, like the spiky hair, kind of mullet down here. Like, it was just awful. Good on Joan Jett, not good on me, because my hair was kind of like a red colour too.
Yeah, it needed to be black.
Yes.
You had to commit to the full look.
So the song was originally recorded by a British group called The Arrows in 1975.
Ooh. I always think of this song, and obviously Britney Spears did her rendition of it.
Oh, yeah, true.
And when I was a kid, I think I heard Joan Jett's version first.
Yeah.
But, like, I fell in love with Britney Spears' version first because I think I was an age where, like, anything she did was, like, whoa, to me. But
Solid gold.
Yeah, disco. Anyway, but I remember listening to her sing it. I'm pretty sure she sings it in Crossroads, the movie, Britney Spears movie.
Ah, right.
It was very good. And I remember being like, wow, like, I want to be a rock chick.
Yes.
I want to be a rap chick, even though Britney Spears is not the person I should have admired to be a rap chick at the time. But then, like, later on when I rediscovered Joan Jett's version as, like, because that Britney Spears phase, it would have been when I was, like, grade 2, grade 3. But, like, when I rediscovered it through Joan Jett, I was like, this is how the song properly, like, should feel.
Yes,
and I think she did it a great honor.
To be honest, I haven't actually heard that version much. Maybe only a couple times.
Yeah.
I've only listened to really the Joan Jett version.
Yeah.
But I remember my mum showing me Joan Jett when I was in that prime age of 13, 14.
Oh, yeah. When you're first like, discovering what you like.
Discovering. And she was like, this is music.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes. And it went into my soul.
Yes.
And it changed me forever.
I love that. Oh,
yeah.
It's a nice feeling.
Yes.
Oh, that's sweet. Like, I always imagine that, like, one day if I have a family, like, I'm going to slowly just give them little pieces, or like little hints and nudges, like, come on, listen here. Please play these music.
This is what you like. This is what you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've already started doing that with my son. One of his favourite songs is Can't Buy Me Love by the Beatles.
Yeah.
And Scatman. He really loves that song.
He really loves that song.
He really loves that song. But I do it with almost anything that I love. He knows the full history of Darth Vader.
Oh.
And he calls him Weaver. It is the cutest thing. But he knows all about Darth Vader, and he knows everything about Mario and Yoshi.
Nice.
So I'm doing my job here.
All I'm thinking about right now, when he was a little baby, and his favourite song at the time was Kiss Me Through the Phone.
Oh my God,
and anytime I play
that song. And he would just like go side to side.
Yeah.
That was his token dance move back then. Yeah. Now it's just walking around in a circle.
The kids' dance moves change up all the time.
Yeah.
Mine hasn't changed from the jump since school discos, but...
Jump.
My jump, and I have like one arm that I move like so,
yes.
like a pirate.
Yeah, see, hardy.
And I'm like, why am I doing this again?
You can't stop. No, can't stop it.
Cannot stop.
In 1993, Informer by Snow was number 1.
Informer. I need a boom boom down.
What's the words?
It's not down, because I was looking into it before, and I think it's Dan or Den.
I don't know.
Dang.
I lick you boom boom there. That's what I always like.
Oh yeah, there. Yeah.
I lick you boom boom there. Oh, that doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound like a boom boom there. It's just more fun when you just say it like
like that.
This song's actually been induced in the Guinness Book of World Records twice.
Right.
For being the most successful reggae single in the entire history of recorded music, and the highest charting.
What the hell?
In American history.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy because he's actually Canadian and has a lot of slack for playing reggae, like being,
like
for
doing
portraying
that genre.
Reggae music as a man that's like not of that culture.
Right.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. That song, like, I feel like everyone knows the song.
Everyone knows that song.
But in my head, I know it's reggae music, but in my head, I've never considered it reggae music. I just thought it was like
considered it reggae as well.
Yeah, like listening to it now as an adult, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah. But when I was a kid, I was like, boom, boom, down.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty cool. So Informer is like essentially like a snitch.
Right.
And the song is about, it's based on the real life incident where he was charged with attempted murder.
What? He was?
His charges were later changed to aggravated assault.
Ugh.
Yes. They were acquitted altogether afterwards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But pretty interesting.
Wow,
So yeah.
I was not expecting that.
I know. I didn't realize that it was actually like a song that had some like truth to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
Yeah, I did a song that goes a licky boom boom there. I didn't think
Yeah.
it'd be about murder.
Murder. But it's so interesting, like songs you listen to when you're a kid and you're like, you just bop along, you have no understanding of the meaning to it or like
There's
what's
this
going on
whole
behind
thing
it.
behind it, this whole history. Someone died for this song to be created.
Or attempted to
die.
Or no,
No, they died, but it's whether they didn't die.
yeah, attempted.
Someone tried to kill
Someone got
them.
assaulted and then the
Yes.
song happened. Aggravatedly assaulted.
Yes. That's actually crazy.
I know. It's pretty wild, isn't
Yeah.
it? And like throughout the theme of the song, if you listen properly, you can kind of hear him talking about the scenario where he got like where the police came into his house and arrested him. It talks about like all that stuff.
What?
Yeah. Re-listen, my friend. Re-listen.
I'm gonna listen.
Yeah.
What the hell? My mind is blown.
Balloon.
In 2005, Candy Shop by 50 Cent featuring Olivia was number 1.
Ooh.
Take it to the candy shop. So I was obviously when I was a kid when I first heard this, very innocent. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what this song was about. I thought they went to a candy shop.
Yeah, I
to
remember
lick
being like
the
lollipops. I think I like clued onto it like within the same year, like originally, and then like I think kids at school started talking about it.
Right.
But like, what year did you say this was?
2005.
Yeah, so I was like in grade 5.
Ah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you kind of like you already kind of know about that stuff, but
Yeah.
you don't. I don't think I feel like I knew it was like had a sexual connotation behind it, but I didn't know that particular type.
You know what? I'm actually thinking about it now, and I have a memory of being in my cousin's room with like my brother and other cousins, and I would have only been 10 at the time.
Yeah.
They were all much older. All my cousins are much older than me.
Yeah.
Like by at least minimum over 3 years, nearly
Yeah.
4 years. So they were all teenagers listening to this, and they were talking about what it's about. And I remember being like wide-eyed in the corner being like, people do that?
Yeah, like, to
Things
each other?
happen to each other? What the hell? Like,
Wow.
I remember being like in
Although
the corner.
such a jam of a song though.
Such a jam, but it's about licking the lollipop, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes. That's pretty much all. That's pretty much all
50
the
Cent
facts.
2
I got
times
for
in a
this song.
week.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Although he didn't get sued for this one.
Nice.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Yeah. So this song's about sex. I don't know if it's was that the
I
intention?
don't know if it's actually the intention of it though. I
That's
feel
how
like
everyone
everyone
took
just
it.
expected that that's what it means.
Yeah.
They're smart with their words, the lyricists.
I mean, there's a line that goes, "I melt in your mouth, girl, not in your hand."
yeah, I know.
So I'm guessing the melting.
I get. We
is
don't need
the-
to. We don't need to go into that.
Just in case there's some young kids listening.
Yeah.
They need to understand and be all wide-eyed in the corner like how I was.
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Learn the old-fashioned way.
Through overhearing elders.
Isn't that how all kids learn?
I feel like all kids learn because like there's one kid that rocks up at school that like he just has an older
Hey,
sibling.
sex. This is what I heard about
Yeah,
sex.
yeah, like this is what this means, and then everyone else is like, "What? Oh, yeah, I knew that.
I knew that. And then you go and cry in the corner.
You're like, "Mommy, what?" But no one actually does that because everyone's too like it's such a taboo topic back then.
What we like to do on the podcast is tell you who you share a birthday with now. Being that we have a fabulous person, still can't believe this happened,
No, I know.
on the episode this week, Suzi Quatro. We thought we might as well tell you when Suzi Quatro's birthday is.
Yeah, of
And
course.
see if you share it with them. Now, if you were born on the 3rd of June, like I said, you share a birthday with Suzi Quatro.
That is so exciting. I feel like this is a great segue to tell you guys about how excited we are for today's episode.
Yeah, like I said before, I actually can't believe this happened.
Oh, same.
And I still pinch myself.
I know. She's an incredible, incredible human, so full of life, so full of love, and deeply connected to what she does.
She led the path. She's the first female rock star. If it wasn't for Suzi, there wouldn't have been a Joan Jett, perhaps not even a Deborah Harry. There are so many women that followed her pathway. She opened the doors for these women to be who they are.
She opened the doors for not only women in entertainment, but any woman that wanted to do something that she just enjoyed.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it fit into her gender stereotype.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that is a massive thing. I think even us here today, like, if it wasn't for people like Suzi Quatro, would we be women here talking to you guys about rock music and about on a podcast that's such a male-dominated field?
Yeah.
To sit and talk and discuss about these things with you.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see how much people like Suzi have shifted and changed the world in a way where we don't even realize the little things that we get to experience every day and what went into making that a possibility for us.
Yeah, most definitely. What she did created such a huge butterfly effect and still affecting people today.
Exactly. I remember when I was younger, I played SingStar and I kept singing Heart of Glass by Blondie. And I remember being like, wow, this woman is so cool. Like, look at the way she has a band behind her. Look at the way, like, she's just, like, taking control of the stage. Yes. And then, like, I started enjoying people like Cyndi Lauper. I started enjoying people like Gwen Stefani and No Doubt. And women that were on stage as themselves playing rock music. And that's what led me. That was the first pillar into me really appreciating that genre in a different way other than listening to Kiss with my parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And I think, it's just amazing to know and to be able to have the opportunity to speak to the person that, was the crazy. First step into that direction.
Yeah, that's pretty bonkers. So, Suzi, we are so thankful that you let us have the opportunity to talk to you. We're so damn grateful, and we highly recommend everyone out there, if you want to learn more about Suzi Quatro. She brought out a documentary a few years ago, I think just before the pandemic. I think it was 2019. It's called Suzi Q. They go into everything about her life. Literally absolutely everything. Nothing is off the table.
Yeah.
And you learn so much about her, and it allowed us to feel very connected to her as well.
Cannot wait for you guys to listen to the interview. It is Chef's Kiss.
Chef's Kiss, guys. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse.
Oh, yeah. But before we get to Suzi, we must ask you a few things. If you could support us on Patreon, that would be lovely.
We would love and appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, baby.
And if you like what you're listening to, please rate us a 5 out of 5 or subscribe.
Oh my God, we would love that so much. And tell a friend, tell a friend.
Yeah, if you know someone or like love Suzi Quatro, send them over.
Send them over. We're all friends here. We all get along.
Yeah, or tell them about the episode and then send them over. And be like, you should listen to Suzi Quatro.
Yeah, slash LNL.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back with Suzi Quatro. We are back and we are here with Suzi Quatro. Hi, Suzi.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, this is like a goosebumps feeling.
I know, we are giddy teenagers right now.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm just working hard like I always do. I am a working girl. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. We have to say we watched your documentary a while ago, actually, but Suzi Q, and we rewatched it in preparation for this interview. But you are the most inspiring person. Your journey is phenomenal. You are a multi-talent, the most inspiring woman in rock.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That means a lot to me because I want to inspire.
You
definitely
have.
do.
And I think that's my mission. I was put on this earth to entertain people and to teach and to be artistic. And I know why God put me here. So I take
that's so beautiful.
I take it seriously what I do. I take it very seriously.
You can tell.
Yeah, you can very much tell. And I think something I really, really admired throughout any time I've seen you speak is your dedication to doing what you do, and the fact that every show that you come to, every time you step on stage, or anytime you're part of a creative art, it's like it's the first time, and you're going to give it that same energy as if it was the first time. And that's something that is inspiring to me, because it's definitely something I want to hold on to in doing the podcast and in my own personal world as well. So thank you.
Yeah, well, you know what? If you can't do something with your whole heart and soul, don't do it. Just don't do it. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. It's kind of like my mantra. And the on stage part, I've said this before, I say it again. It's very dangerous for an artist, very dangerous to ever think to themselves just before there's that transition from the backstage over the over the footlights, and then you're on the stage. And little Susie from Detroit becomes Suzi Quatro. Same person, but a different part of me. And for you to stand there and ever think, and after 59 years, I've never thought this for a millisecond, oh, I was great last night, they're going to love me tonight. Wrong. Because it's a new audience, and they're not going to love you. You have to win them. You have to bring them to the table, and then send them out happy. So you see, you get me started on that. I'll talk about it forever. So I do.
Please.
I do take it serious.
Bring it on.
No, I'm so glad that you do. Tell us about like how music began for you. Like, where was it that you realized that you had that knack for this industry?
I was very young. I kind of found my path, like ridiculous. I'll just tell quickly. I saw Elvis Presley on TV when I was 5.5, and it's like 5 kids in the family, so everybody was watching the TV show. And my elder sister by 9 years was 14.5, and she was watching too, and she started to scream. This is absolutely how it happened. She started to scream, and I'm only 5.5, and I'm thinking, what are you screaming at? And the light bulb went on my head. I never forgot it. And I said to myself, I'm going to do that. I found
that.
It's crazy. And I can remember being even at school, like 6 or 7, around that age. And we went out, where you have your lunch and your recess and you go outside. And I just remembered this the other day. There was a lady that took care of all of us kids on the playground. She was the lunch lady, and her name was Miss Denmark. And I can remember walking around the playing ground, holding her hand and singing to her, and her being so entertained. I remember she was going, do another song. So that's me as a little girl, and then, and we are a very musical family. Everybody's very talented. We all play several instruments. My dad was a musician all his life, and we have family shows all the time. Everybody would, do like play a bit on the piano, maybe do a dance, do a joke, do this, do that. And I noticed very young, a key development in my character. I noticed that whenever I got up to do whatever I was going to do, my bit, that the room would stop and they would watch.
Wow.
So in my little psyche, I realized that without being able to articulate it even, that I could hold an audience. So, I developed along the way. I just saw, I can do this. It didn't matter what I was doing. I could be telling a joke. I could be telling a story. I could be doing a sketch or whatever. They all went and watched. And so that was a key part in developing who I am. I knew very young that I could, like I said, hold an audience, which is what being an entertainer is. So I'm very, very comfortable on the stage. It feels like home to me. Well, it is home to me.
Well, I mean, after 59 years.
And then at 14, because I studied piano, and I studied percussion. I play classical piano still. I played percussion in school, and I was it's all guys, obviously, typical me. Yes. And I love that. Yeah, and they give you a rudiment test. And then they place you in order of your ability. First chair, second chair, third. I was first chair.
Love it!
Yeah, we do.
It makes me laugh to this day. I say start as you mean to go on,
Yeah.
I don't do boundaries. I don't do gender. I don't do
Yes,
gender.
I know. That's something when we were rewatching the interview, I was telling Elle, I'm like, this is what I love. I love that she's not letting anything hold her back from just being purely her.
You were so ahead of your time.
So ahead
of your time.
Ahead of in so many ways.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll share this with you because I get asked this kind of questions a lot, when I'm doing interviews. Male-dominated industry, that's the most popular one. You kick down the door, and I always say I kicked down the door because I didn't see it, which I didn't. I had no idea until I watched my documentary in London, the first premiere, first time I saw it with an audience, so it's quite, because you don't know how they're going to react. You never can guess what the audience are going to do. So I was understandably nervous. I was booked in for a Q&A after the thing, and I didn't want to wait for the Q&A, and I snuck in and stood on the side, and I wanted to feel what the audience was feeling watching the documentary. So I'm standing there and I'm watching, and then all these other famous, wonderfully talented women came on one after the other, basically saying the same thing, if you cut it down, that they wouldn't have done what they did if it hadn't been for me. And I started to cry. The first time I realized it went in there, I finally went, I did that. And I was really in tears. And I called my good friend.
Oh my God.
I know, I got goosebumps saying it.
I got goosebumps.
I never knew. So I called my friend, Cherie Curry, the singer from the Runaways in LA the next day.
Yes.
I wanted to share it with her. And I told her the story and I said that I was crying and all that. And I said, Cherie, I said, I just realized something. She said, what? I said that me doing what I did gave permission to women all over the world to be different. And there was this long pregnant pause. And she went, and you just got that?
I was going to say that. You just figured that out now.
Yeah.
And so this is to me, it means a lot to me that I did do all that and not know I was doing it. That's even better, isn't it? I didn't have an agenda.
How good is that?
Yeah.
Exactly. You didn't have that in mind. It just naturally was upon you.
Yeah.
It was you were born to do that.
Yeah. Everybody kept, oh, you're
How good
unique
is
and
that?
this, am I? You know, just doing. I refuse to ever be boxed in, and I refuse to ever. This is my mantra. In fact, when I got my honorary Doctor of Music at Cambridge, I didn't even graduate. I didn't graduate high school even. Unbelievable. I know. It's like this, you know, to the world. I was up there to do my speech, getting my award, you know, with a cap and a gown, just surreal. And I had a little speech prepared, and me being me, I just went and I pushed it aside. And I just talked. And basically, I'm looking out at the sea of intellectuals. I'm going, and I just said my mantra in life is that you have one job in life, and everybody, it doesn't matter what color, what sex, what nothing matters who you are, what, it doesn't matter. Your job is to go inside and find that little light that makes you you. There's a light, switch it on, and never let anybody switch it off. And this is how I've lived my life. I refuse. I refuse. I won't change. I know. I was saying that to you too, because that went into your. Yeah. Keep your light shining. It's all you have. All you have is you.
It's funny, I see you post a lot and you always talk about like the connection you feel towards Elvis and you feel that thing. Watching your documentary, I couldn't, like, but the two of us were sitting there and we're like, this woman feels like there's a part of us in her. Like, I feel that connection with you.
We felt so connected to you, and we're not going to lie, we were both in tears watching the documentary.
Nice. That's nice.
We were actually in tears. The one thing that I absolutely love and adored, and what makes you one of a kind, one of my favorite things that you said on your documentary is that you were Suzi Quatro on stage, but then you went home to your family and you just wanted your normal life. You were your kid's mother.
Yeah, I wrote my autobiography.
Love that.
I wrote my autobiography in two people because of that. And all the way through, both people speak. It's little Suzi from Detroit and Suzi Quatro. Yes. Yeah. And all the way through. And I couldn't get a handle on how to write it until I came up with that. I said, oh my God, this is so true. And both people have to say, I am both people, but one is private. And I don't walk around in, you know, sunglasses and a hat and hide. And if somebody comes up, I have a little shortcut now. You know, I walk around. Of course, I've got a very known face. I've been around a long time. And it'll usually go like this. I'm in town and somebody will go. So I just stop and I stop and I look at them and I go like this.
Oh my God. That's all they need.
That is all they need. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
And
it is all they need.
You can't hide anyway. I tried it not that long ago. I went to a Cyndi Lauper concert. And I wanted to go backstage, but my husband said, no, I want to sit up front. I said, oh, Ronnie, you know how that is, because somebody sees you and then it's selfies and you're actually taking the attention from the stage. So I said, okay.
Yeah, of course.
Like, okay, so I put on a baseball cap and my hair in a ponytail. And nobody was bothering me. I thought, I'm doing good here. I'm doing good here. So I had to go to the toilet. So I went up to the toilet. There was a long line. So I'm waiting in line with my baseball cap on, my hair in a ponytail. And the lady in front of me, she goes, I love your music. And I said, I know. And I said to her, so this not working? She went, not in the slightest. I went, oh. So
At least she tried, right?
I think what happened was that if the people did see it was me, they saw me being in disguise and they respected that. But it was so funny. This isn't working. Not in the slightest. Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
I actually went and saw Cyndi Lauper as well, like 2 weeks ago in Australia with Rod Stewart. It was it's the second time I've seen her. A fantastic performer.
Yeah, she's awesome.
But again, people like her, people like Blondie, people like Joan Jett, they wouldn't. It's so. I guess it wasn't obvious to you at the time, but even to us as like young girls, like I saw that trajectory of how you began that for women in the industry, even though it shouldn't be a matter of men or women doing something. But it's beautiful that you created that and created an image for young girls like us to imagine what it would be like to be a rock star and to feel like it's okay to like rock music, because that's our whole thing is like we love rock music and try to find a community of other females that also have a passion for rock music.
Yes.
It gets in your soul, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It consumes you and you're never the same.
If it's a passion, it's a passion. I love everything. I listen to everything. Yeah. Everything from Billie Holiday to Tony Bennett to Bob Dylan to the 50s. Bob is, he's another Gemini like me. I love him. In fact, that's one of my choice songs, but you haven't asked me that.
Wonderful. No, that's what we're going to ask anyway.
That's a good segue.
Exactly. So a question we love to ask all of our guests is to list out 3 songs they feel a personal connection with and why.
Growing up in a family of 5, you don't have your own stuff because you have to share everything. I finally got, when I was about, how old was I? I must have been 12 or 13. I got my own transistor radio for Christmas. I was beyond. I never even had a record player. Patty had one, my sister. I got my own transistor radio and I took it upstairs to bed and I switched it on my own radio. And the first song I heard with my headphones on was the Beach Boys Surfing Safari. And forever that conjures that up for me. My freedom. I have my own radio, blah, blah. And the next choice would be, it's actually in my will to be played at my funeral. It's been in my mind all my time. And that's When I Fall in Love by Nat King Cole, because
I love that song.
Because your whole life is in that song. When I fall in love, it just says it all for me. It saw me through my first divorce, about my only divorce. I've been married 30 years now, second time. Yeah, I want that played at my I think it sums up what love is. It does.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the last one is a Bob Dylan song. I've been in love with him since a young teenager. I used to actually bring people down to the basement when I had my basement room and make them sit and listen to me recite Bob Dylan lyrics. So, and if I thought they weren't listening, I'd start at the front again. So then they had to pretend to listen. But the one that, I love all the Bob Dylan songs, but the one that freaked me out the most, I was riding in my car from London back home, and I had his new album on. At that time, what was his new album? And this song, To Make You Feel My Love, came on. I had to stop the car. I had to stop the car, and I must have played it 10 times. Wow. He's just wonderful. I love him. I'm in love with Bob Dylan. I've done lots of radio shows about him, and I've followed him for years. He's just great. So those are my 3 choices.
Wonderful.
So obviously there's people like Bob Dylan, there's people like Elvis that you feel that connection to, because for us right now, it feels so surreal being able to be in the presence of you and be able to talk to you in the industry that you've been in. Have you been able to meet people that have inspired you in some way, and who were those people that you got to have those interactions with, and what did that feel like as someone that is such a iconic person in the industry, I suppose?
I had the chance to meet Elvis, but I didn't.
Oh, really?
It was in 1974, and I'd already had 3 or 4 hits, and my first album was out, and my version of All Shook Up was out in America, and I was in America touring, and I was in Memphis, and the phone rang, and it was his people, and then he got on the phone, and he said, "I've heard your version of All Shook Up, and I think it's the best since my own." And then I went, "I'm very busy right now," because I wasn't ready to meet him yet.
That's insane.
But I was not supposed to meet him. I was supposed to just feel him,
Yeah.
I wore leather because of his comeback concert. I saw it.
Yes, we could tell.
We were talking about that before as well.
when Mickey saw the band I was with, and I sang Jailhouse Rock. Then I recorded
classic.
Then that thing happened with him. Then I was called to audition for Happy Days, the TV
Yes.
show. So so I flew out there and I did my audition, and they said, go to the hotel. We need to discuss you. Da 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 da. And I went to the hotel room and sat by the phone waiting for the phone to ring, and the TV was on, and they phoned me and said, we want you for 3 seasons. I was all excited, and right then it said, newsflash, the king is dead. Simultaneously. I know. And then I went back to do my first recording for Happy Days about 3 months later. The director comes up to me. He says, Suzi, I'd like you to meet somebody. I said, okay. He said, this is Nudie, and he is going to be making your clothes for the series. He was Elvis's personal tailor.
Stop!
Okay.
What the?
Yeah. Oh my God.
That is actually insane.
I know. So it's all these things. So I don't think I was supposed to meet him. His girlfriend told me, his last girlfriend, because I've done lots of Elvis things. She said that they used to go to this club on Sunset Strip. They had a top VIP room, and he'd go up there with her. And the guy that owned that club was a huge Suzi fan, and he'd play videos of me. And she said Elvis would watch me all the time. Not a sexual thing. He must have felt a kindred soul. And the very last part of the story, I think, because I don't know what's coming next, his guitar player, James Burton, who was a friend of mine, played with him many, many years. We were recording Singing with Angels, and we took a break, and we were outside, and I said, hey, James, I'm working on my new album. Do you want to hear a little bit of it? So he put on headphones and was listening. And then he took them off, and he said, Suzi. I said, what? He said, you got what Elvis had. I went, what? What? And he said, well, the only way I can explain it is whatever you do is you.
Wow.
So
That's such a
Oh my
beautiful
God,
thing
my
to
arm
be
is
told.
my arms are going like flaring.
Yeah.
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah, that would have been an incredible feeling. And just, I think sometimes, like, there's definitely situations in life where people can say they're coincidences, but I truly don't believe in coincidences. Like, I think everything happens. There's something deeper to so many things in this world.
Everything happens for a reason. You might not know the reason right away.
Yeah.
But everything does happen for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you got your path. It's here. It just here's a roadmap. You know, not saying it's not going to be a few bumps in the road, but there it is. There's where you're going. You haven't really got a choice. You do have a choice, but you don't. But even your choices are preordained in a way.
I agree. That actually makes me think about the documentary again, where you said that your mum always said to you that she let go of you too soon, and that it wouldn't have mattered because you would have ended up where you were meant to end up anyway if she held you back.
Yeah.
Like, and listening to that, I'm like, I love looking at life that way. Like, okay, the decisions that we make are not going to really differ from where we end up one day. Like, if we were destined for something,
We're
we were
always gonna
destined
end up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the important thing is, like, even let's talk about, like, when bad things happen. The important thing is to learn that they're there for a reason. You know, you mess up. Let's say you do something wrong. We all hurt people sometimes. Let's say you hurt somebody. It's there for you to. It's a lesson to learn. You know, it's a lesson.
Yeah.
And karma's a bitch.
I'm a massive, like, both of us are. We're massive Elvis fans.
Elvis
anything
fans.
we can do to kind of get a little glimpse of Elvis is always been a thing. My mum was a huge fan when I was younger, and so she's, like, passed that down to me. And when we were young, we would have been like 21 or 22. We went and paid to go, like, sit in a room with Priscilla Presley and have her story be told to us about her and Elvis. And it's just... you can't hear that man's story and not feel like...
can't hear it enough.
Yeah, you can't... I never get sick of hearing about Elvis. So hearing you tell your individual and unique story about him as well, it just makes me feel so, like, alive.
I know.
Yeah.
It's all part of the plan.
Oh, it's amazing. When we were at that Priscilla show, we were sitting next to an old couple, and the song "Can't Help Falling in Love" came on, which is my wedding song. That was my first dance with my husband. And that couple next to me, who had been married for decades, they were like, "Oh, this was our wedding song," and I'm like, "Me too."
Oh no! Oh. You see, so there's no accidents.
Yeah.
No accident.
And some music is just not defined by like an age. It's like, it's not defined by a generation either. It lasts for so much longer than that. And same with your music, like your song 48 Crash, the moment I want to give you a picture of what it felt like individually for us, you replying back to us and being on this, because I want you to understand what this feels like for me. 48 Crash is a song that I literally sung to almost every single day when I got back home from school. Because it was a song I sung with my dad, and I would play it. I had this CD that had that song in it specifically, and it was my favorite song to come home to sing, because it would just, like, the way you started off, everything about, like, and then so listening to that and reading your email at the same time again, I was just like, oh my God, you are, my inner child right now is like in absolute awe. And that's attests to the music that you put out, and the way that your music is going to last a lifetime as well.
Well, if you're an artist, you're supposed to touch people. That's the whole point. So I love hearing those stories, and just the fact that I can affect people. Even, my last 2 albums have done amazingly well. That I've done them both with my son now. We work together.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
How's that?
I gave birth to him, but he gave rebirth to me. He made me see myself brand new. I saw the excitement in his eyes looking at me like I was just starting out. And he brought me back that feeling. So yeah, it's good. It's real good.
I love that.
It's great. It wasn't planned. It just happened. It just happened.
That's the best kind of way, isn't it?
I didn't know he was so talented. I had no idea. He kind of hit it. Then we started to write together, and we just sparked, Yeah, it was great.
Another thing I wanted to commend you on was when you talk about your life, the amount of vulnerability you put on the table, and that was what put us into tears, like talking about the vulnerabilities and kind of bringing your true family conflict to some degree out in the open for people to see, because it is honest and it is the truth. And honestly, being able to watch that and relate to that and feel like that moment in the documentary when you talk about what it would be like to look at young Suzi, like opening the door for you at your old house, and like the chalk and all that.
I went.
Yeah, you sent us as well. Like,
that was the moment for me.
Yeah.
It was for me too. And I had no choice but to react, honestly, I do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to. And I think by you doing that and showing and sharing that side of your life, and us being able to see, because it's such a relatable thing that it doesn't matter how much love and affection you get from a parent, you always are wanting, or a family member, you're always seeking that validation.
Always.
And that's something, at one point you said that you've had to realize, like, maybe you're not going to get that one day. And then the day you decided that was the day your dad actually gave you that validation. And
Yes.
crazy. And I was bawling my eyes out crying, because at the moment I'm going through my own little struggle with realizing, like, okay, even though I have parents that have shown me love in certain ways, like, it's learning to detach myself from thinking that I'm going to get something from them that maybe they're not going to ever give me. And I think
exactly.
And it was just, it was so refreshing to hear someone that has lived such a fulfilling life from my point of view, and be so real and raw, and me be able to say, like, she's going through the same thing as I'm going through. Like, it's not, I'm not crazy for thinking this way. It's beautiful.
Yeah, but also I wanted to add, Suzi, your connection to your inner child, to little Suzi, is what really touched me, to be honest. And similar with Elle, the affection from parents. I don't have a relationship with my mother anymore.
That's hard. That's real hard.
I'm gonna get emotional, so I apologize. But when you were
I'm watching. I'm watching you. I can see into your soul. Right. I can see in your soul right now.
Thank you so much.
I can
Thank
see
you. When you were talking about wanting to not rush your childhood, I feel that. I wish I didn't rush my childhood.
Yeah.
But because my parents had a lot of issues together, I had to grow up quickly.
Yeah.
So I felt that. So I feel like we're connected in that way.
You know what? You know what I see in your face, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or right. I'm a very good people reader, by the way. I know you've handled it. Your key to this is to truly, truly stop blaming yourself.
Yeah.
Because deep down where you live, that's still in there. As with any child. What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? You've done nothing wrong. You've done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But you got to know that yourself. Sorry, hon.
No. Thank. I did not expect this to happen.
Although we did kind of expect
We
it.
did
We're
kind
like-
of expect it.
we're like, I feel like we're going to cry tonight.
Oh my God. I know. I feel it from you. You know, I feel it from you. And in fact, that you're bringing me onto a little story now. I don't do regrets. I don't do regrets because I think that it's a waste of time. Because whatever happens, happens. You know, so you shouldn't regret whatever you did at that time. That's what you thought. If it was a mistake, own the mistake. Da 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 da. And the only regret I have, and it concerns my mother, which is why I'm saying it to you. My mom got stomach cancer, and it was from diagnosis to giving gigs directly afterwards, flying across the ocean to see her. Went to see her many times. She went down and down and down and down and down. And the last time I saw her alive was where she had the operation to take it out of her stomach so she would be more comfortable. And yeah, you need to hear this. Anyway, the whole family were there. I flew to the hospital, and where she's ready to go in to be operated on. Everybody was there. So everybody was crying, and they all, for some reason, they all walked off en masse. And I stayed behind. I don't know why I did. No accidents. I stayed behind, and I was left watching just as they're about to wheel my mother to the theater to get her operation into the surgery. Me alone. This is supposed to happen. They're a little bit drugged up, but lying there waiting to go in and be anesthetized. And her hands started to shake like this. I went, what's she doing? And she went like this. She plumped up her cheeks so she looked nice for the doctor.
Oh my God.
And then when she was dying, my little sister called and she said, "Somebody's coming in. Are you coming in?" Mickey Mouse said, "Don't, because you can't handle it." And he probably was right, so I didn't go. And I talked to her all the time, but I didn't go. One time I was on the phone, and the phone dropped. And Nancy picked it up. She said, "Oh my God, Susie, did you hear what Mom just said?" Because she dropped the phone. I said, "No." She said, "Susan, have a nice life."
What?
But I wish that I had gone. But yeah, I do. That's a regret. But she understood it. Because Nancy said, "You thought she looked terrible when you came in for the operation. She looked wonderful then compared to how she looks now." This is what Mickey said. You don't want to, you don't. And I made that choice. But I wish I could undo it. And I can even hear my mom saying it was fine, but it wasn't fine. I should have gone. Anyway, that's my one regret.
Wow. Thank you for telling us that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that story with us. I agree with you. Like, there's not many things I regret in life, but there's those special moments with family that kind of, I think, even though we know we had to do the right thing by ourselves in that period of time, it's hard not to think like what could have been sometimes, or what you you should have done. Yeah. Sure.
I have something else for you about your mom. You guys have, I would say you probably have the same triggers.
Yes.
And I have that with my daughter. That's why I know it. And we talk about it. She one time said to me, she does have a good sense of humor. We were arguing in the kitchen. She was a teenager, and she called me the menopausal mother, and I called her the bitchy teenager. Hilarious. So we're standing in the kitchen arguing, and it was wintertime. She opens the door, and she goes outside of the kitchen. And she said, "Come out here, Mom." And I did, okay. She went, I said, "Why am I out here?" She said, no, we're outside. We won't argue anymore. I said, we're not. Guys argue in the house. I said, okay. We do. We argue like cats and dogs, and we're both very volatile, Yeah. But she does have a great sense of humor, and we do have good fun together, but we also can go at it like cats and dogs. Becomes so personal. It becomes so personal. Yeah, it's the two female thing. It's not always easy.
Our last question was, in an industry like the music industry, where you do get things like the comments about you're a woman in this industry, the comments about you didn't make it big in the US, which bothered me every single time I heard that on the freaking documentary. But a lot of things were said and done, and there's a lot of like speaking about you but not actually listening to you sometimes in that industry. How did you navigate through that and find your sense of self that you felt comfortable within?
But realizing how and why it happened, I am very known in America, but I didn't have as many hit singles there. They just didn't get it at that point. Like Mike Chapman said, I don't know why, but I did have, I had my album sold while there. I did have lower end hits. Stumbling In was huge in America. And then it took Leather Tuscadero for them to accept a bass playing woman. So
Crazy.
That is so wild.
Everywhere else in the world, they all accepted it. But in America, I think it was just a little bit, forget which one of the artists said that, a little bit before my time. They weren't ready for me yet. But it's okay. Happened how it happened.
Exactly. And it's funny because it still ended up being you to let that be the first person to show them that.
I know.
So it worked out.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre how that happens. It's so in terms of like what you do as so you've mentioned you have like your personal mantras and stuff. Is that something that you've always, like since the beginning of Suzi Q, is that always something you've kind of done for yourself in your me time, is like keep up with your own like mental health and spiritual health so that you can maintain the balance between Suzi Q and little Suzi?
Yes, I always do have the balance. You have to separate. I do a lot of writing. I'm now on my 6th book, two poetry books in. My last poetry book, Through My Heart, it's an illustrated coffee table book, is probably my finest work. I pour out my heart in my songs and my poems, and I will always do that. Always do that. I need the 3 key words with me is entertainment, creation, communication.
I love that.
Entertainment, creation, and communication. If you take any of those things away from me, I'm dead in the water. I am. I can't not communicate. When I talk to people, I don't talk at people. I talk to people. And I want to hear your stories as much as I want to tell you mine. I find the whole human process fascinating.
Thank you so much, Suzi. Thank you for answering all of our questions, for being so raw and honest. But I just want to thank you again for taking the time out to jump on this call with us today. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much, Suzi.
Next time you're down in Australia, we will be at a show.
Yes,
okay.
100%.
Okay, fantastic. See ya.
Bye,
Suzi.
Have
Bye.
a lovely night.
I actually can't believe that happened.
I know. Guys, for you to imagine what my body felt like going through that conversation, I was holding onto my leg out of excitement. Like I was like pulling on my skin, being like, I want to jump through the screen and hug this woman.
I know. I actually realized once we finished the interview that my legs were swinging the whole time.
So happy, like,
my legs were going woo, woo, woo under the table, and I didn't even realize it until like we said bye to her, and then my legs were still swinging. I'm like, wait.
Like, what's happening right now?
I was running under the table, basically.
Doing some Cunha Bella.
Yes, exactly.
Oh
my God.
What an incredible woman. Like we said earlier, guys, make sure you check out her documentary.
Oh, it is fantastic.
Phenomenal. And she is an absolute gem of a human, a beautiful woman that really goes above and beyond for her audience and the people that support her.
Most definitely. And if you're our age, or perhaps even younger, or maybe even a little bit older, and you haven't been introduced to Suzi Quatro yet, we want to tell you some songs that are a good starting place.
Oh, yeah.
Stumbling In.
Amazing.
Would be an excellent start. That is a really good one. Can the Can was her first like huge hit #1 single. So that's a good one to start. 48 Crash, that's 48 Crash was my absolute
favorite as a child.
Yeah. Devil Gates Drive.
That song just gives me Elvis vibes.
Oh yeah. And also what we love about Suzi is that she starts a lot of the songs as wow.
Yes. I love when people have like a thing. It's not every single song, but it's enough songs where you're just like, this is her thing.
This is her thing. And we're like, wow, I love it.
Such an awesome woman of rock and roll. And
man.
Honestly, guys, check her out. She's beyond incredible. And please watch that documentary because...
Yes, you have to.
Yeah, you have to. You will fall in love with her.
I found myself very emotional. We both were.
Yeah, we're crying.
Suzi Quatro, if you're listening, thank you.
We love you.
Like, you made our lives.
Yeah.
We love you. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We wholeheartedly appreciate it. Every song that we mention on the podcast will be in our Spotify playlist. So please check out that.
I'm laughing because I literally forget to update it all the time. It will be updated, so please check it out. But yeah, we'll speak to you guys next week, and ciao now.
Ciao. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.